morning. I welcome you all for biology video class. In previous video, we have talked about pancreas and testis. Once again, I need to recall that the pancreas situated in stomach region, just below of the stomach, then which consists what? Exocrine and endocrine. Exocrine which produce enzymes, endocrine which produce what? Hormones. The endocrine consists what? Islets of Langerhans. That islets of Langerhans made up of alpha cells and beta cells. Okay, that alpha cells which produce glucagon, beta cells will secrete insulin. What are the functions it is doing? One is reduce the glucose level, one is increase the glucose level. Which one? Insulin, which reduce the glucose level in the blood, glucagon, which increase the glucose level in the blood. So the level of glucose in blood which will be constant. If any changes, if hyperglycemia is present prolonged, which means it is diabetes mellitus, loss of glucose in urine. So hyperglycemia, that means the glucose level is increased. Hypoglycemia, which means the level of glucose is low. So that is hypoglycemia. So that functions and all we have seen that. The next one, testis, we have seen. It is only for the male and which produced steroid hormone. That steroid hormone involved in the secondary sexual character. And next one, the testis is the primary sex organ of male. They, which is responsible for secondary sexual character and sexual behavior, like that we have seen. So today we are going to see in chapter 22 part 6. This is the last part. Part 6. This is the last part. Today we will complete the lesson. The chapter 22 we will complete. So today we are going to see remaining topics. Ovary and some area which will be produced hormones in gastrointestinal region, that means gastrointestinal tract and heart. In those areas it produces hormones more than, apart from the endocrine glands, in some area, heart, and next what? Kidney, heart, kidney and gastrointestinal tract. In that some hormones are produced. That is also we are going to see. Then mechanism of hormone action. So today we will complete today we are going to complete what? The lesson. Okay. So ovary, a pair of ovary which is present, a pair of ovary which is present in the abdomen region. So a testis, it is outside of the abdomen, but here in the abdomen region ovary is present. A pair of ovary. It is only for the female. It is only for the female. And next one, it is responsible for the secondary sexual character and secondary sex organs and primary sex organ also. It is primary sex organ, which means ovary. Primary sex organ Then what it is function? Ovary function is what? Which means which produce ovum. Which produce what? Ovum. Sir, how many ovum? Actually, in menstrual cycle, one ovum. For each menstrual cycle, it will produce one ovum. So, each menstrual cycle, one ovum will be released for what? Reproduction. Okay, then next, which produced steroid hormone. The steroid hormone name is estrogen and progesterone. Okay, so that ovary which will be produce ovum as well as the steroid hormones also secreted. So that steroid hormones name is estrogen and progesterone. So we are going to see about the function of estrogen and progesterone, where it is using. So here, and apart from that, I want to say, in before class, we said about what the test is composed of seminiferous tubules. Okay, here the ovary is composed of ovarian follicles. It is composed of ovarian follicles and stromal tissue. It is composed of ovarian follicles and stromal tissue. Stromal tissue which is present in testis also. Lining cells which is present in the stromal tissue. Already we said that in testis. So the ovarian follicles and stromal tissues also present in the ovary. So that's why we said that it is composed of ovarian follicles and stromal tissue. The next one, the estrogen which synthesized by growing ovarian follicles. So the estrogen which synthesized by growing ovarian follicles. Okay, the ovarian follicles which will be growing, during that time the estrogens are produced, secreted. Ovarian follicles, where it is present? It is present in the ovary. Okay, that ovarian follicles later on which is converted into corpus luteum. So what is the corpus luteum? The rupture of follicles. Rupture means which release the ovum. Which one? The ovarian follicles which secrete the estrogen as well as what? Which produce the ova. After producing of ova, it is converted as a corpus luteum. So in the ovary we have what? Ovarian follicles. That ovarian follicles which synthesize what? Estrogen. The next one, the ovarian follicles converted into, after releasing the ova. Releasing of the ova is known as what? Ovulation. Releasing of ova. So after releasing the ova, which is converted as a corpus luteum, that corpus luteum which secretes progesterone. Okay. see, the ovarian follicles which synthesize estrogen, corpus luteum which secrete what? Progesterone. Okay, when corpus luteum we are getting? After releasing the ova, we can get corpus luteum. Okay, it is converted as corpus luteum, which were the ovarian follicles. Okay, right. It is the progesterone. Now we are going to see about estrogen. The estrogen function is what? The estrogen function is which stimulate the growth, and the secondary sexual character. Secondary sexual character and secondary sex organ. Secondary sex organ. Then next one, development of ovarian follicle. Development of ovarian follicle. The next, mammary gland. And the sexual behavior. So estrogen function is which stimulate the growth. Yes, it is also responsible for the growth. And secondary sexual character, just you listen. I think in 9th standard or 10th standard, 11th standard and 12th standard. So 9th to 12th, we have a lot of growth, because when we go for a vacation after completing 8th standard, we are seeing that very small boy or girl. Yes, now we are talking about girl only. So they are look like very small, but when they come back after vacation leave, we are seeing that they will very tall, they are sometimes fat, like that, because of some changes happen in their body. So which one is the responsible? The estrogen is the responsible. Okay, so it is also responsible, but there we have growth hormone also. I think in pituitary gland we have growth hormone, that is also responsible. It is also. The next one, secondary sexual character. Secondary sexual character, I think the development of mammary glands, and hair will be developed in the pubic region and under the armpit. Then high pitched voice. Meanwhile, boys have low pitch voice. Here girls have high pitch voice. So like that, secondary sexual character will be happen. That is also responsible of estrogen. Then secondary sex organ. Secondary sex organ, which means the formation of oviduct, then uterus. Because when we talk about testes, epididymis, prostate gland, seminal vesicle, like that, the testosterone are responsible. Here, the secondary sex organ, the oviduct, the formation of oviduct, the function of oviduct, it is done by estrogen. Then development of ovarian follicle. The ovarian follicle which is present in the ovary, I think. Then next one, mammary gland. Already we told that. Then sexual behavior. So sexual, for the girl sexual behavior also, which one is the responsible? The estrogen is the responsible. There in the boys, testosterone. Okay, right. Then what is the function of progesterone? So the progesterone, it is involved in the pregnancy. It is involved in the pregnancy because see here, the progesterone level is high After ovulation, corpus luteum will be formed. That means ovarian follicle converted as a corpus luteum. That corpus luteum will secrete the progesterone. That hormone level is increased in the blood, which means the ovarian follicles again, which is not formed. Okay, if the ova fuse with sperm, what happens? Zygote will be formed. If zygote will be formed and it is attached to the uterus, which means the progesterone level is high in the blood. So what happened? The progesterone level which will be giving the message to the brain. So the follicle stimulating hormone, you know it. Follicle stimulating hormone which is secreted in the pituitary gland, follicle stimulating hormone. That hormone will be reduced. Okay, what happened? If progesterone level is increased, the follicle stimulating hormone level is decreased. Okay, what happened? Follicle stimulating hormone is reduced, which means which not produce new follicle. If follicle is produced, what? It can release the ova. Now it is not produced the ova, it cannot form the follicles because they are pregnant. Okay, pregnant இருக்காங்க அப்படினா என்ன இருக்கும் அப்படினா progesterone level அதிகமாக இருக்கும். Okay, then again the process will not happen. What process? The follicle stimulating hormone which not stimulate the follicles to produce the ova. So automatically everything will be stopped. Okay, that menstrual cycle also will not happen. Okay, right. It is the function of progesterone. And next one, which is act on the mammary gland, which act on the mammary gland. What it is doing? That means which stimulate the formation of alveoli. Formation of alveoli. So in mammary gland also we have alveoli, the ball-like structure which store the milk. Okay, so that will be formed by progesterone. Okay, right. So I hope you all understood what ovary. Next we are going to see some other hormones will be secreted in the heart, kidney, next intestinal tract. Hormones of heart, kidney and gastrointestinal tract. Okay, so next topic is hormones of heart, kidney, gastrointestinal tract. So in the heart also we have some hormones which produce hormones. In kidney, in gastrointestinal tract. Gastrointestinal tract, which means you know it. What in the digestive system? What we have? Stomach, small intestine, large intestine. That is what? Gastrointestinal tract. First one, some tissues not endocrine glands. So we have particularly endocrine glands, but here some tissues not endocrine glands, but it is produce what? Hormones. So example, atrial wall of heart. Atrial wall of heart. So atrial wall, which means what? In heart there we have 4 chambers. In that we have ventricle and auricle. Auricle that means atria. So in the atrial wall of heart, what it is secrete? Which means atrial natriuretic factor. Natriuretic factor. Atrial natriuretic factor, that is secreted by atrial wall of heart. There we have tissues. That tissues is not endocrine, but it produces what? Hormone. Its function is what? Which decrease the blood pressure. Which decrease the blood pressure. You know, I think in the where in kidney. In kidney, when we talk about kidney, we are said about what? Atrial natriuretic factor. Because when the blood pressure is high, the natriuretic factor which doing the dilation of blood pressure. Dilation of blood vessel. Dilation of blood vessel. Blood pressure increase. How? The shrinkage of what? Atrial wall. So that means artery wall. Not atrial. Atrial means which is present in the heart. Here we are talking about the artery. Okay. Artery wall which will be shrink. So due to that, blood pressure is high. Okay, if blood pressure is high, our heart suddenly which secrete what? Atrial natriuretic factor. That factor act on the artery. Okay, which doing the dilation. That means the wall of artery which will be relaxed. The wall of artery is relaxed. So blood pressure is reduced. So blood pressure is reduced. It is the function of atrial natriuretic factor. Okay. The next one, juxtaglomerular cells, which is present in the kidney. We know kidney. JGC, juxtaglomerular cells, which is present in the kidney, which secrete. The cells will secrete what? Erythropoietin, which is responsible for formation of organs. Okay, the juxtaglomerular cells which present in the kidney, in the afferent arteriole, which is mainly it is present. Which one? Juxtaglomerular cells, and in the kidney also it is present, because you know each and every nephron which is present in the kidney. Okay, so in the afferent arteriole, you know, I think in the glomerulus, afferent arteriole which is coming inside, then afferent arteriole which is coming from the outside. So in that wall of area, what it is present? JGC present. So that produce erythropoietin hormone. That hormone which is responsible for the formation of RBC. Okay. Next, we are going to see what gastrointestinal tract. So in the heart, atrial natriuretic factor; in the kidney, erythropoietin hormone. Gastrointestinal tract. So here some endocrine cells present in gastrointestinal tract. Okay, some cells are present. That cells, what endocrine cell in gastrointestinal tract. Okay, that is present. So that produce 4 hormones. What are the hormones? One is gastrin, second one is secretin, third one is cholecystokinin, fourth one it is called as CCK, cholecystokinin, and next one gastric inhibitory peptide. Okay, so 4 hormones are present, will be secreted by gastrointestinal tract. In the gastrointestinal tract we have endocrine cell, that cell produce hormones. Now gastric function is what? Actually the secretion of HCl which act on the gastric glands. You know, the gastric glands will be produced HCl, pepsin, renin, like that it produced. So the gastric hormone which act on the gastric glands to stimulate the secretion of what? HCl and pepsinogen. Pepsinogen is proenzyme. It is inactive enzyme. When it is exposed on the HCl, it is converted as a pepsin. Okay, you know, in the digestive gland we have expander. So gastric gland function it is. Which one? Gastric hormones which is act on the gastric glands to stimulate the gastric gland to secrete what? HCl, pepsinogen. Then secretin which act on the exocrine in pancreas. Because you know in pancreas there we have exocrine and endocrine. So in the part of exocrine which will be exposed, and next one it secretes water as well as bicarbonate ions. Okay, the pancreas, the exocrine will be producing what? Bicarbonate ions and water. Then cholecystokinin which act on the pancreas as well as gallbladder. Its function is which the pancreas produce enzymes and gallbladder which release the bile juice. Okay, secrete what? Enzymes. Then gallbladder will release what? Bile juice. Because bile juice which is secreted in liver, it is stored in the gallbladder. So it is what? Open into the bile duct, which means bile juice. Then gastric inhibitory peptide that function is inhibit the gastric secretion. Gastric secretion and motility. So it inhibit not reduce, which reduce the gastric secretion. If gastric secretion is increased, then HCl will be increased, so that our stomach will be damaged. So it inhibit the gastric secretion and motility. Motility, that means the movement of gastric juice. Okay, which will be controlled by the gastric inhibitory peptide hormone. The next one, some non-endocrine tissues. Non-endocrine tissues are present, which produce growth factor. It is responsible for the growth. Some non-endocrine tissues. So here we have endocrine cells, and in atrial wall we have the tissue. That tissues which will be produced what? Some hormones like that. Here the non-endocrine tissue which will be produce growth factor, which is responsible for the growth of the tissue. For our tissue growth and for the repair of the growth, which one is the responsible? That means the growth factor is responsible. So this is about gastrointestinal tract hormones. Okay, right. Gastric secreting cholecystokinin and gastric inhibitory peptide. Next we are going to see mechanism of hormone action. Mechanism of hormone action. Actually, the hormone is secreted in one place, but the target area is in far away from the gland. But how it is recognized that particular hormone? Okay, how it is getting inside of the particular hormone, that is we are going to see. Example, in pituitary gland, the follicle stimulating hormone are secreted, but it goes to where? It goes to female reproductive system, and next one, actually it is traveled in the blood and it is reached the where? The ovary, then which stimulate the ovarian follicle, then it produce what? Ovum. So how it is go and act on the particular tissue? That means that we have one receptor, that is hormone receptor. That hormone receptor receive that particular hormone. It cannot receive any other hormone. Okay, so what we understood that for each and every hormone we have separate receptors. That receptors receive particular hormones. Other hormones it cannot receive. Okay, you see that ovarian cell membrane. You see that. If this is the ovarian cell membrane, here we have receptor. Okay. What happened? Here that hormone is coming. This hormone is what? FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. It comes near to the receptor and sitting on the receptor. Then what happened here? Second messenger. Second messenger will be created. That is cyclic AMP or calcium ions. The second messenger. After getting this hormone, it is converted as a second messenger. And the follicle stimulating hormone, which is fixed into which is bind into the receptor, particular hormone receptor, then which generate the second messenger as cyclic AMP or calcium, then which act on the biochemical response and physiological response is happening. That means ovarian growth. Then it is produced what? Okay, here you see this is ovarian cell membrane. Which one? This is ovarian cell membrane. Okay, so some receptors which is present in the membrane, in the cell membrane itself. Okay, some receptors present in the intracellular. That means inside the cell, some receptors are present. Two types of receptors are present. One is membrane bound receptors. Membrane bound receptors. Okay. Second one is intracellular receptors. Okay. So membrane bound receptors, that means which is present in the membrane itself. But some receptor which is present inside the cell. Example, here you see this is that is ovarian cell membrane. This is uterine cell. This is what? Uterine cell. Cell membrane. Uterine cell membrane means which is present in the uterus. In that cell membrane, what it is happened? Inside we have nucleus. Inside what we have? Nucleus. That is called as what? Nuclear membrane. Example, here estrogen hormone we can take. that estrogen hormone getting inside and going inside of the nuclear membrane. Here we have receptor. On the receptors it is fixed. Okay, which means the estrogen hormone inside the cell, it is fixed into the receptors. So that receptors, intracellular receptors, but it is present in the membrane, the outside of the membrane itself. That means that is membrane bound receptors. So which generates second messenger and it is doing what? Biochemical response. So biochemical response, that means that metabolism has happened, then physiological responses happen. Physiological response, that means what? What it want to be produced. So that it is happen. Ovarian growth is want to be happen. That is induced by follicle stimulating hormone. Then ova will be produced. So here what it is happen? It is going inside of the nucleus. Then we have what? Genome. Okay, the DNA, particular DNA is present. Okay, so which will be induce the genome, then that genome will be produce particular protein, then that protein which will be induce the physiological response. Okay, do you understand? Here estrogen want to be getting inside of the uterine cell membrane and getting inside of the nucleus, and it is act on the genome, because in the genome only we have previous message. That means the message will be carried from the one parent to another, one generation to another generation. Some character will be carried from the one generation to another generation. That particular character is stored in the genome. So that genome want to be produce particular protein, then the physiological responses happen. If eye colors, okay, that black color we have, and dark brown we have, dark green we have. How? It is because of that particular parent. Okay, they have that character which is carried from one generation to another generation. That message will be stored in that particular genome. That genome is produce a particular protein, then physiological responses happen. Okay, right. Here we have four types of hormones. Here we have four types of hormones. Now I think you all understood about what? How that hormones act on the particular place, how it is binding on that. Actually the receptors also protein. Receptors also protein. So that's why it is called as hormone receptors. Okay, the maximum of the hormones which made up of protein. Steroid hormone only, it is not made up of protein. Okay. The next one, four types of hormones are present based on the biochemical. Based on the chemical nature. So one is peptide, polypeptide, protein. So example is insulin, glucagon, pituitary hormone. These are the hormone example for the peptide hormone, polypeptide hormone, protein hormone. The next one, steroid hormone. Example is cortisol and testosterone testosterone, and estradiol, then progesterone. The estradiol, which means, don't confuse that estrogen hormones being hormone, that we have three hormones, okay, in estrogen. So in particular one hormone name is estradiol. It is one form of estrogen. Okay, so testosterone, cortisol, progesterone is the steroid hormone. Then third one is iodothyronine. Example is thyroid hormone, and fourth one is amino acid derivation. Example epinephrine. So based on the chemical nature, it is divided as four hormones: peptide, polypeptide, protein hormones. Actually, the peptide hormone, polypeptide hormone, protein example is insulin, glucagon, pituitary hormone. And next one, steroid hormone example: cortisol, testosterone, progesterone, estradiol, and iodothyronine hormone example is thyroid hormone, and amino acid derivations example is epinephrine hormone. So now we have seen about what mechanism of hormone action, and next one I have listed that hormone receptor complex. Hormone receptor complex. That hormone receptor complex is nothing but the hormones which bind into the receptors. So that leads to hormone receptor complex. That hormone receptor complex only will generate what? Second messenger. Okay, so this combination, binding of hormone and receptor, is what? Hormone receptor complex. I hope you all understood that what mechanism of hormone action. This like only the action will be happen. So physiological response like that it is present. Okay. So now chapter is completed. Still now we have completed 9 chapters. In human physiology 7 chapters, and in the biological classification, actually in the first unit, that we have complete 2 chapters. So next class we will start new chapter. Thank you very much.